Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I had to come on here real quick. I don't think this is going to be a super long video, but I had to talk about this palette that I've been testing since June. So I did pick up a little palette from Surratt. This is one of those palettes that has 2 eyeshadows and a blush. So you guys know I don't usually review luxury makeup. I have a few items here or there. Sometimes I get an itch though, especially if I hear review after review saying something like this is the best in a certain category. I get really interested to try. So, and I keep hearing about Surratt's powders, that they have the best blushes, the best eyeshadows, the best bronzer. Any powder they make is just the best from all these reviews I was hearing. So I'm like, all right, I have to try. So we'll save talk about Surratt pricing till the end because I really do have some thoughts about the pricing on these products. I bought this little palette on sale. They had a sale in June, but normally it is $96. Okay. Like I said, we'll save more talk about the pricing till the end. Let's talk, however, about the actual formula. So let's talk about the blush first. So this is one of their pre-made palettes. A lot of their palettes, you can create your own palettes of, or combinations of eyeshadows and blushes or whatnot. I decided to get this pre-made one because it had popular shades in it. And this was the blush I really wanted, but it was sold out in the single and I could only get it in the palette at the time. So the blush is called La Vie en Rose, and they describe it as a rosy taupe. I don't know, to me, that's just pink, right? I was expecting it to be a bit more taupey with that description. I guess swatching it, maybe I could see that. But to me, it's definitely more pink than anything else. The second I put my fingers in these powders, I finally understood what people meant when they said that these are the most unique powders you will ever try. So they describe it as a slurry formula. I actually sent them a message. I was like, can you describe what a slurry formula is? They said that it starts off wet like a cake batter, and then it is then dried. And it creates this powder with the most incredible cloud-like, almost fluffy texture. It's not anything like a cream, like you're touching powder, but it's incredibly silky and almost fluffy. Like it is the strangest and delightful texture to have in a powder. Very, very silky. Like I don't think I can overstate how silky it is. So this particular blush is a beautiful satin, and I am wearing it today. So I am wearing a little highlighter, so don't pay attention up here, but this is the blush and its finish. It is so beautiful. And I'm feeling kind of bad that today of all days is the day that I'm reviewing it because I'm having a horrible skin day. Oh, just know that the way that this blush lays against the skin is really, really flattering. You guys know that I like thin formulas that become one with the skin, that looks like maybe a really thin cream, and that's exactly what these blushes from Surratt do. I mean, I've only tried the one shade, but I was very, very impressed with the blush. And we have to talk now about the eyeshadow. So let's start with the shimmer. So this shade is called Zibbeline or Zibbeline, but this is a taupe. And this is one of those shades that is like a glorious single shadow shade. It looks great by itself because it has enough dimension where it looks like you're wearing more than one shadow if you happen to blend it out. And even though it is a shimmer, this is the type of shadow where if you blend it out a little bit above your crease, it's not going to look bad. It's an incredibly flattering formula. And I have to say the same thing about the matte. So the matte is the shade Truth, and this is, a simple matte brown, but there's really nothing simple about that formula. Ooh, it's just so yummy. So I tried this eyeshadow in various different ways by putting it down first and then the shimmer, then putting it over the shimmer, like all these different ways. You know how sometimes eyeshadows can be finicky? This is probably the least finicky matte I've ever used in my life. It wants to blend. It's very, very creamy. You know how sometimes when you put mattes on your eyes, they can look kind of dry, especially if your eye has any sort of sagginess, droopiness, or any sort of texture. Mattes can sometimes look dry. This is a very creamy looking matte, and you know how sometimes people will say it just wants to blend itself? Well, this, more than any other formula I've ever tried, wants to blend itself. In fact, I don't think you would need brushes. I did use brushes when I applied it, but I really think this is so creamy and so blendable. You literally could just go in and smear it with your fingers and it would look great. I did put the matte brown on my outer part of my eye. I didn't want to go too heavy today because I have places to be and I didn't want to be too smoky, but I put a little bit of the matte here and then of course on the lower lash line. Otherwise, the rest of the color is the taupe shimmer. The only other formula I've tried that's even remotely close to this is the one from YSL. So this is also so delightful. Also another very expensive palette, however, it's not as expensive as the Surratt. And maybe now we can talk a little bit about that price point. So while this is quite expensive, you get a really cute packaging as well as the very nice formula. When it comes to packaging in a luxury product, I do tend to be very picky because you're paying so much money. And I am going to admit that the formulas of the powders are top tier. Like, they are outstanding. So there's literally nothing you could say about the formula that would be bad. I would say that obviously put money into the formula. However, when you're paying so much money for a luxury product, I do expect the packaging to be something that I'm going to want to hold on to forever. Something where if I finish the actual product inside, I'm going to repress something else in it and keep using it because the packaging is so beautiful. Like, I expect something very luxe for that sort of price point. While this is nice, very sleek, I do not think it hits that. It's just, heavy plastic, and it's not even heavy plastic. It's nice plastic, but it's not a heavy plastic. They do have a feature where each of these shades can be popped out and you can, put in different shades. So that makes it refillable. I don't think, however, that they did the best with the refillable aspect here. While mine hasn't come out, I have heard some people say that these will tend to pop out of the pan, like they're just not super secure. And the way that they did it, while fine, to me, it just does not scream luxury or $96. I personally wouldn't pay full price. You can get it on sale occasionally. There's also a lot of coupon codes floating around the internet. Also, I think that they do like a 20% off your first purchase on the website if you've never purchased Surratt before. So that would be a way to save some money. I mean, if this is even something that you're interested in. I have no idea how many of you people are interested in Surratt. And just a side note too, I said that this is the nicest powder formula I've ever tried. That is true, but I know everyone has different tastes, and this is more along the Japanese aesthetic. Like, that's their whole thing with Surratt. So it's not going to be something that is incredibly pow in your face pigmented. In my mind, it's very classy type of formula, very classy colors. And again, I know that is very subjective to what everyone thinks is classy, but for me, this really hits the mark. One thing I must note, which was incredibly surprising to me, is the scent. It's pretty strong, and it's, to me, I gotta check this one more time. Before I actually say this, I need to check it. Yeah, to me, there's an incredible similarity between the Surratt scent and the scent in the classic Covergirl blushes. Like, this is the shade Soft Mink. These are also very scented. It's not necessarily my favorite scent. And when I first opened this up, all I could think of was, it smells like Covergirl. It's not exactly the same, but it has definitely a similar vibe. If you've tried Surratt and you've also tried the Covergirl, let me know. Is it just my nose? Sometimes that can happen, I think. I realized I was giving you a review of this palette and I never did actually say the name of it. So it's called How would you pronounce that with a correct accent? Even though the company is based out of New York and they have Japanese aesthetics, and this is even made in Japan, they have a lot of French names for their products, which I find interesting. So to sum up, glorious formula, yes. Worth the price tag? No, but because of the packaging. Will I buy more of these? Not for a while. This is definitely not something I can splurge on at any time that I want to, but I have a feeling that I'm going to want more of these blushes, if not more of the eyeshadows. Like, the blushes in particular, I was just so pleased. And they have some great shades of eyeshadow. I've been trying to talk myself out of buying more of the eyeshadows. I was like, the YSL is so similar. I feel like I could just pick up another one of these quads, save some money. But Surratt, you can pick your shades and create your own little custom palette, so that appeal is there as well. Ooh, I almost forgot. I was going to show you, if you have YSL Stora dolls, it's kind of similar to the shades in this palette. I mean, I can't even handle it. Look at that matte. It looks satin, doesn't it? But it's matte. It's so creamy. It's so lovely. But okay, the YSL. I think these two shades down here are pretty close. So let's swatch them next to each other. Top is Surratt, bottom are the two bottom shades from the YSL palette. There's some similarities, I think, especially in the taupes, but they're not dupes for each other. And swatching it just now, I could tell Surratt does just have the edge with a silkier formula, but that's not trying to take away anything from my YSL quad, because I love that quad. If you have favorites from Surratt, I would be very interested to hear. Sorry for my rambling today. I really tried to keep it on like a linear thought process, but I couldn't help it. Rabbit trails today. But today I'm drinking matcha. I couldn't help it. I was trying to expand my horizons, drink something else. Oh, matcha today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye.